For those of you who don't know me, I'm Peter Easton. I'm on the Faculty of Accounting at the University of Notre Dame, and I'm a Director of the Centre for Accounting Research and Education at the University of Notre Dame. My task is, at this point, is to welcome you all to the conference. It's wonderful to see a lot of faces that I know and to see new faces. Welcome. Thank you for coming. I hope you have a wonderful day and a half. This year, the Centre for Accounting Research and Education is co-hosting the conference with the Centre for Excellence in Accounting and Security Analysis, or CEASA, which is a quite similar centre at Columbia University, and we're delighted that we have the opportunity to do that. I just want to talk briefly about the aims of these centres and then a little about CARE before handing over to Trevor. The aim of our centres, and I'm talking mostly about mine, and Trevor will talk more about the one on which he is a director. The co-director, Stephen Penman, is also here. I'm not sure where he's sitting, over in the back there. Our aim is to encourage a dialogue between academics and people who actually do what we teach or what we might try to research in. In order to encourage research that may at one point in time contribute to the real world, to add some answers, to get some ideas, and our focus is mainly on young faculty, for young faculty to get ideas which will help enhance their research, not necessarily with the idea of walking out of the room saying, here's a new research idea, but their ideas will be coloured by the kinds of things that the people who actually do what we're trying to research do. Not only are we interested in the research side, but we're interested in the teaching side. So the idea is that we want to ensure that we maintain relevance in our teaching. And so we learn this from the relevance from the practitioners who may or may not agree that our work is relevant and will encourage us to do different things, maybe just through stories that they tell, anecdotes that they tell, etc. I also would like to add some thanks to people other than CEASA and Columbia. There's a large number of people who have contributed to this conference, ranging from people who were involved in an initial steering committee, the advisory board, the University of Notre Dame, who helps a great deal in supporting this centre, and in particular to our sponsors. We at CARE have 4 sponsors who we greatly appreciate: KPMG, Ernst & Young, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and Deloitte. You notice a theme there. CEASA, IBM, GE, and Morgan Stanley. And this conference, we need to thank George Worthman, who I'm not seeing at the moment, George, who is sponsoring this conference through Cambridge Business Publishers. Without the support of all of those sponsors, we wouldn't have our centres, nor would we have this conference. So we're very grateful for that. I want to talk very briefly about the earlier conferences to give you a sense. We had an initial conference in Columbus, Ohio, 10 years ago, a couple of years later at USC. Over the last 6 years, we've had 6 conferences all through CARE, Centre for Accounting Research and Education. The first one in Atlanta, then Napa, London, Singapore, Miami last year, and now in New York. The aim of these conferences, as I've indicated, is to get this dialogue going. To give you an indication of where we were and where we're going, last year we had a conference on forecasting. Many of you were there. To give the professionals among us a sense of what we do, the conference was on forecasting. The speakers ranged from individuals that forecast sardine populations, forecaster of hurricanes, forecaster of the winter at Wimbledon, forecaster of catastrophic events for insurance companies. And by the way, the forecaster of sardine populations had just come from a 5-year sabbatical at Deutsche Bank. where he had been applying his skills as a marine biologist to forecasting in the financial services industry. And we got tremendous ideas from these people, new ideas for methodologies, new ideas for research. Now at that conference, and a few weeks before, Trevor and Trevor has been a major help, a major part of the development of CARE. He's been on the advisory board since the first instance. Trevor suggested the idea of risk and uncertainty, which you can see follows fairly naturally from forecasting. So of course I jumped on that opportunity, and I think exploited my long-term friendship with Trevor and asked him pretty much to ask, request, beg his contacts that he has developed in the 20 years that he's been away from us. Now that he's come back, he's brought back, I think, a tremendous group of speakers who will be the anchor of the next day and a half. Not to mention, of course, we have a large group of very fine academics who will also be speaking. I'm not suggesting it's all about Trevor's Wall Street contacts. So with that, I want to thank Trevor for being the catalyst for this conference and for being the key person that got together all of this tremendous set of speakers that you're going to hear from in the next day and a half. Without further ado, I'll hand over to Trevor.